I'm talking about Aaron this morning. You just saw some stuff about him, or at least you didn't. He's not in the video. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Not sure how much of a hero he is. We'll deal with that. But the first thing you usually think of when you hear about Aaron in the Old Testament is, well, he spoke for Moses, right? He spoke well. That was his thing. So as soon as I heard that I was speaking on Aaron, I'm like, oh, I know why Pastor Jim gave me Aaron. Because, oh, some of you guys know too, huh? Okay. For those of you that don't know, I lost my voice for about 4 months straight last year. It was awful. I'll tell you the story, but it was awful. So as soon as I heard about, like, a guy that speaks well and speaks for somebody else, I'm like, oh, okay, I dealt with something like that. So let me tell you guys a story of how I lost my voice for 4 months. And I mean it when I say it was the worst 4 months of my life. So here's what happened. Every summer here at Calvary, we do something in the high school, youth group, and junior high called Rise Week. So Rise Week is what we do to kick off the summer. You can get those pictures behind me if you want. I'm going to show you some pictures real quick from Rise Week. Oh, there's me yelling at people. That's what I do. That's Color Wars. So we just throw a bunch of color bombs at each other. You know, they have color runs where people run and they throw like color powder in the air. We do that with less running, more just hitting each other with powder. And the students love it. It's nuts. There's me and Alex screaming at students on a wall for some reason. Alex has the blowhorn there. That's me on a rope for Flora's Lava. Flora's Lava is another big event that we do where we make the big obstacle course in the youth room. There's more Flora's Lava. Students in a bus inside. There's a bus in the room for no good reason. There it is. So it's a week of just big, crazy fun events. I absolutely love it. It is exhausting, to say the least. I go through a lot of caffeine, but it is a ton of fun. Our students love it. And my job is to be, of course, the host, the MC. I run the whole thing. So I'm usually on stage somewhere, either with a blowhorn like you saw or a microphone like this, yelling at students. Telling them, hey, stop eating the color powder. Stop doing, go over here. I'm just yelling, trying to arrange the whole crazy. It's like herding cats, right? You ever tried herding cats? Don't. You can't herd cats. It's kind of like that. So on day one last year of Summer Wars, the first thing we do is the color wars, where we throw the powder and stuff. And we're outside. Can't do that inside. And we have the megaphone. And the megaphone dies on us. Like the battery goes out or something. It just didn't work anymore. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to yell. I've got a pretty loud voice. I do this all the time. And I'm yelling to like 100 students. We had, I think, 80 high schoolers there last year. We had over 100 this year. It's fantastic. But so I'm just yelling to all of them as loud as I can. And as I'm yelling, I feel something weird happen. I feel like it didn't really hurt, but it felt almost like the vocal cords, one went up, one went down or something. I can't really describe it, but like I felt a movement. Something happened in my throat when I yelled. I was like, hey, you got... That was weird. Cough it off. Keep moving, And I just kept on talking, kept doing stuff. Went home that night. Kind of coughing a little bit, no pain, but felt like after I would talk, I got something, okay, I can get it back. Kept doing the rest of Rise Week. The next day was the Flora's Lava you saw. We had students, trying to do an obstacle course through the whole room. It was awesome, but same thing, I'm yelling at people. Even when I use the microphone like right now, if you can't tell, I have to project a lot. If you talk quietly on the microphone, it just doesn't work as well. So I had to talk loud like this on the microphone all week long. I'm talking loud and projecting. Even when I'm not using a microphone, I'm like, hey, yelling at students. So I'm using my voice a lot, and that was a big mistake after what I just experienced. So after that Rise Week, I found that I could only speak for, if I'm lucky, 10 minutes, and then I would start to lose my voice. I would be talking seemingly pretty normal at first, so people didn't know anything was wrong. And then slowly my voice would start to sound like this, and it would just start to kind of go away. And it would just go away. 10 minutes is all I had, and my sermons take longer than that. So that was a problem. So I went to a vocal cord specialist, to a Kaiser, and they had a really fun procedure where they stick a scope in your nose, like in your nostril. They don't numb you, they don't put you out, nothing. They just take a scope right in the nose, and they stick it down into your throat so they can see your vocal cords, like live action, they can see them. So while they're seeing them live, they have you like say stuff and do stuff, which is terribly uncomfortable. Did that like 8 or 9 times. Would not recommend, 1 star. And they look on there and they see, oh, okay, Nicholas, you have vocal cord nodules. So if you're familiar, that's something singers get often. They call it singer's nodes as well. Basically, it's a tiny like polyp or scab on a vocal cord. Usually it's the result of overuse or strain, which was my case here. So it's really more like a scab. It's like you went too hard, you stretched it, you hurt it, you got to rest it. That's really all there is to it. Notably, Adele has had these. Kelly Clarkson has them right now, I'm told. A couple of Christian artists. Matthew West had this for like a year. Phil Wickham had these for a while. They're pretty common for singers or people that are that do more with their voice than I do. So it's actually not that rare. As soon as I Googled them, I was like, yeah, this often happens to singers, to professors, preachers, like great, or coaches. Okay, it's kind of the stuff I do. So it made sense pretty quick. But the only solution is to shut up. Something I am terrible at. So for 4 months, I could not speak. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of things go through my head. Multiple times I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna muscle through. That's like the manly thing to do. I'm just gonna muscle through, just to take care of it. And I think about that. Doctor's like, that's stupid. You'll lose your voice forever. Okay, I won't do that. Bad idea. So all these things are going through my head. And at first I'm getting creative with it. Okay, 4 months, I can do this. My friend, super cool guy, he writes me an app on my phone. He's a coder, smart dude. And this app actually uses an AI he found online to speak for me. At first, it just sounds like a robot, so I'm like typing, hi, how are you? It's terrible. And then I use the AI, and I upload a sermon that I did here at Calvary some time ago. I upload a sermon to the AI, and the AI learns my voice. And so now when I type, it actually sounds exactly like me. Super creepy. Has a little bit of an echo, kind of like right now, but it was me. It sounds like me. And so I got kind of clever with it. I had my phone that does that. I had a keyboard so I could type faster. I can type really fast on a keyboard, kind of fast on the phone, not near as fast as the keyboard. And then take a Bluetooth speaker. So I have a little like setup. I got my little like stand here. I did this in the youth room. I have keyboard, phone, speaker, and I would type stuff, and I'd remember what I typed, and then I would mouth the words as it said it. And so people were like, did you just say that? Why do you sound like a computer speaker? It freaked people out. It was hilarious. I loved it. I had to have some fun with it, right? But to be honest, that was like the only fun part. Everything else was terrible. Not speaking was awful. I tried to keep up in conversations. Like my friends would still invite me to do stuff and hang out, and they'd be talking, and they were trying to include me in the conversation. I would type on my phone and press play, and it would say it audibly, and they could hear it. But by the time I finished typing, the conversation had moved on. It just didn't work, right? Like they're on one subject, and like they moved to like 2 other subjects, and Nick's over here like, yeah, I saw the movie too. And we're like, cool. We talked about that a while ago. I just couldn't keep up with the conversations, and pretty quick I learned that it just wasn't worth it. And so I didn't keep on trying to keep up with conversations. For the 4 months, I wore this guy. Some of you may recognize this. I hate this. I hate this so much. Hey, good job, camera person. Hey, they got it. It says, I can't talk. I have a temporary vocal cord injury. I made this myself. And I wore this around my neck, and I would not leave the house without it. I was terrified of a scenario where I might meet somebody who tries to talk to me, and I can't talk back. I need to be able to show them this so they can know this is why I can't speak. This didn't work as well as I thought it would. This has some weird effects. When I went to like the service industry, like baristas or people in restaurants and stuff, I would wear it around my neck. And I really hated ordering food or anything. I usually had one of my kids or my wife do that for me because I hated trying to interact with people that didn't understand what was going on. So I would just like have them do it. But if they weren't around, a few times I had to go do this myself. Someone would talk to me, like I would order a drink or something at Starbucks, and I would hold the tag up and show it to them. And this is the weird thing. They would look at the tag, they'd read it, they would nod, and never make eye contact with me again. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, I'm still here. I can see you. It was so awkward. They would just look at it, and when they would nod, they wouldn't even look me in the eye. They would like, oh, you got a tag? And just walk away. Like, it was strange. Honestly, I felt almost a little bit ashamed. Like, am I weird? There's something on me. It's just weird. It just felt wrong. And you know what really was difficult was, if you can't tell, I'm an extrovert. I am a very extroverted person. The best way to describe extroversion versus introversion is not just are you shy or are you outgoing. That's kind of an antiquated way to look at it. Instead, it's where do you feel energized or where do you get recharged from? See, introverts, when they're around a lot of people in social situations, they will feel tired from that, and they get recharged by either being alone or with 1 or 2 close friends. Extroverts like me, I can be with lots of people. Like, this is fun, more, yeah, go home, feel great. I'm energized by being with people. That's great. It flipped for me. For the first time in my life, being around crowds of people gave me some anxiety. I felt tired from it. I'd be around lots of people wearing this stupid name tag thing. And my biggest fear was that people would try to say something to me briefly, and I wouldn't be able to respond. They would think I was being rude. Walking in the hallways of this church, this happened. I'd wear that stupid thing. I don't say I hated being here. I love being at my church. I love it. But I hated the feeling of, I hope someone doesn't think I'm being rude for not speaking to them. Because I'm the dork that fills the silence. If no one's talking, how was your day? Like the weather? See any good movies? I fill the silence with something. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, so I'll start talking so you don't feel uncomfortable. Probably making you feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry for that. But so I'd be walking through the halls of Calvary, and someone would say, "Oh, hey, Nick." And I had this really difficult situation in my head where I'm thinking, do I show them my tag and make it more awkward? Because now they have to stop what they're doing and read it. And then they always have the same questions. Oh, no, what happened? And I'm like, take out my phone, type it for you. This is now like a 10-minute interaction that you didn't want. You just want to say hi. And so I don't show my tag. Instead, I would love to say, hey, man, how are you? And all I can do is just smile and wave. And the biggest fear I had was that people would see me do that and think that I'm upset with them or being rude. And I was right. I gave this same sermon Thursday night, and at least one guy came up and said, dude, that happened. Like a year ago, you just waved at me after I said hello. I was like, I wonder if Nick's mad at me. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. So let me tell you right now, anybody in this room, if I ever just smiled and waved and didn't say anything, I'm so sorry. It's because of this stupid thing. I love you guys, I swear. I love to talk with you. But man, this thing made my life hard. There were a million reasons why not having a voice was awful. A million reasons. But I'm going to give you the top three. There are three reasons above all, by a big margin, that made this absolutely terrible. One of them was I couldn't teach my youth group. I've been a youth pastor for something like 20 years now. It's my calling. I'm not using this as a stepping stone to go into some other ministry. I'll be youth pastor until I die, retire, or God changes my mind, whichever one comes first. And so giving a sermon to students and sharing the gospel to them is what I do. And I could not do that. I couldn't share the gospel. At least not with my voice. I know there are other ways, and I see that. But what I do is I tell people about Jesus, and I couldn't do that. And it hurt. I couldn't worship. Yes, I know there are other ways to worship besides with your voice in singing. I get that, and I like those too. I love them. But I like to sing to my God. And I could not. And it hurt. I had an idea I never actually pulled the trigger on. I wish I would have, but I mean, to be honest, I got pretty low in part of this time. I got pretty, I don't know if it's called depressed, but really sad at least, where I just didn't want to be around people not like me at all. And in one of those moments, I thought, you know what if I feel guilty about not singing to my God. I'm not worshiping. So I did some math. I don't have it all here with me, but the math was like, okay, how many songs do I sing on Sunday mornings? How many songs do I sing on Tuesday nights for youth group? And then occasionally I'm at summer camps. I love summer camp worship. It's the best. I was going to add all that up and figure out how many songs have I missed? How many songs did I deprive God of my voice? Then I was going to ask some good Christian men I knew, will you sing a couple extra songs for me to make up what I didn't sing? I don't want God to miss the worship he deserves. So can you sing a couple, I think I get 10 guys, do 4 each, whatever the math was. Can I get a couple of you guys to commit to that for me? I never actually did that. I wish I would have. So the hardest things were not being able to share the gospel or teach, not being able to worship. And the top one, though, by far, I couldn't make my wife and my kids laugh. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love telling dad jokes. I'm the goofy, dorky dad that my kids' eyes roll so hard you think they're going to fall in the back of their heads when I tell jokes, but they laugh. Like, oh, I'm so dumb, Dad. But they laugh. And one of my love languages is making people laugh. Is just laugh with me, have fun with me, enjoy it. I think God loves to laugh. Like, if you read the Bible, there are some jokes in there. They're not intentional always, but they're funny. If you just look at the way God created some stuff, just look at people. God's got a sense of humor. So I love to laugh. I love to make my family laugh. I couldn't do that for 4 months straight. A better way to say it is, I could not express my love to my family in the way that I wanted to. Yes, I still showed them love in other ways, but I could not do so verbally. And not just by saying I love you, which I do, or tuck my kids in at night, which I would do, but I couldn't have the fun conversations. I couldn't have the goofy, funny things that we always do. And that hurt. That hurt a lot. And it reminds me of a song and a saying, both. It says, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. I had never really considered my voice to be a blessing or a gift. Because almost everybody has one, right? It's something you easily take for granted, easily. But for me, after I got my voice back, I had a newfound value for my voice. And it made me more cautious and grateful to use it. I'll tell you this story today because I'm teaching about Aaron, and he's best well known for his voice. Aaron spoke, that's what he did. I even joked for a while that when I had my phone that would speak for me, it was my Aaron, right? I got to be Moses, this is my Aaron. It would talk for me, which I thought was kind of fun. That's the only joke I could make when I didn't have a voice. So I want to talk about Aaron for a minute in the Old Testament, but here's the weird thing about Aaron for me. Because we did this whole series on heroes of the Old Testament, right? You saw the whole video, played the cool superhero music and all that. You know who wasn't in that video? Aaron. Okay, Moses is parting the Red Sea. We've got Elijah making it rain fire. Jonah's hopping on a whale. Aaron's like, I talk good. Like, what's the superpower there? Aaron, I don't know if we're seeing Aaron really as a superhero. So, nonetheless, I think he has a lot to teach us. Before we jump in too much for Aaron, I want to show you a short video that, look for Aaron in the video. He's not the main character, but Aaron's in the video. So watch this video with me real quick.
All right, guys, me and Aaron just got inside the palace. We're about to ask Pharaoh to let our people go. No idea how this is going to go, but wish us luck. Okay, we just left the meeting. We asked, he laughed, said no one's going anywhere. Anyway, the fight goes on.
Pharaoh, if you're watching this, this is your last chance. Let the people go, or it's going to rain, hail, frogs, whatever.
Hashtag let my people go.
He let us go, then changed his mind. Now he's sending soldiers. We're literally running to the sea right now. We just got here, sea in front, army behind, no way out. Everyone's freaking out. Let's see what God tells us to do. Guys, the sea literally opened up. I'll explain later. We're walking through now. And no, this path isn't on Google Maps.
Didn't film the parting, was busy holding the staff. But yeah, it worked. The sea split. I'm exhausted.
All right, guys, we made it. Seal's behind us, Pharaoh's not. Don't forget to like, comment, and maybe bring sandals next time. We walked a lot.
Goofy video. If you couldn't tell, that was made by AI as well. But you see what Aaron's role was in that? See what Aaron did? Hashtag let my people go. That was his only line. That's all he did. Aaron didn't have a huge cameo in that video. I don't even know if I would call Aaron a superhero. He was more like a sidekick. Aaron just did kind of what Moses was doing, but he said it more eloquently maybe. I'm not sure, but he had a role to play. So this is your first fill-in for you if you're taking notes. Aaron didn't have a superpower. Aaron didn't need a superpower, and neither do you. Aaron didn't need a superpower, and neither do you. And that's what I had to kind of come to the conclusion of when I was studying for this, is Aaron didn't really do anything that was that big of a deal in the Old Testament, at least not compared to the others. Yes, you'll see he helped perform some of the miracles with Moses, but really it was Moses doing the stuff, and he was kind of like there too. But what he did do well is he spoke well. It wasn't necessarily a superpower, he could just speak well. We're going to dive more into that and maybe learn a little bit from him. And to do that, we're going to read through Exodus 4:10 to 15. So if you have your Bibles, open up and follow along with me if you want. If not, I'll be on the screen. That's cool too. Jim actually read this same verse last week in talking about Moses. It's kind of hard to separate Moses from Aaron, man. They're like tied at the hip. They're brothers. And so we're going to read how God called Moses and Aaron at the same time and how the interaction went down. So here we go. This is Exodus 4:10 to 15. And it says, Moses said to the Lord, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent." Sorry, real quick, jumping back. God has called Moses to do stuff here. God's calling Moses to go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Moses does not want to do that. There's a little backstory. So Moses said to the Lord, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord said to him, "Who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord?" Man, what a powerful statement. To tell God, I'm not very good at that thing. And God's like, I know how many hairs are on your head. I made you exactly as you are. Who do you think made you and then called you? How does Moses not feel silly telling God, I don't know if I'm ready for that, God. God's the one who made you and called you. Have you ever felt like God called you to do something that you were unprepared or unqualified for? Yeah? I think that's pretty much always the case. Everybody I've talked to that feels like, I think maybe God's calling me to do blank, but I just don't know if I'm ready. I just don't know if I'm the right person. I don't know if I'm qualified. I think that's pretty much always the case. You know what I've never heard? I've never heard someone tell me, God's calling me to do blank, which is great. I'm great at blank. It's so convenient that God called me to do the thing I'm totally confident at doing, and I'm already super good at. I went to school for blank, I practiced blank, and God said, hey, go do blank. Yay! I've never heard that. Every single time I see God calling somebody to something, it's a stretch. They're like, God, I don't know. That's going to be scary. And it always takes courage, or better yet, I would say, it takes faith. I don't know if you'll call it a meme, but I keep seeing these words online in a comical fashion. You hit that slide for me. They say, when God put a calling on your life, he already factored in your stupidity. Most comforting thing I've ever read. Man, that should be comforting, right? I'm going to tell you a secret. I mask it well with humor and being goofy, but I get nervous to be on this stage. I get nervous to be up here and talk in front of you guys. But you know what? I have to remember, God knew that about me when he called me to do it. God knew I would talk too fast. God knew I would slur my words. God knew I would occasionally tell a joke I probably shouldn't tell. He knew all those things about me before he told me to get up here and do this. And that gives me some comfort. He knows me. He knows you. He knows if he's asking you to do something, he can make you ready for it. As my friends have put it in the past, I love this saying. I don't know who wrote it initially, but it says, God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. I love that. I love that. If God's calling you to do something, he'll make you ready. All right, moving on to verse 12 here. Exodus 4:12 says, this is God speaking. Now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say. But Moses said, pardon your servant, Lord, please send someone else. At 14, then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, what about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well. If you're taking notes here, you can underline speak well. I'll write that down. What does Aaron do? He speaks well. I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. Underline that too. Put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak and will teach you what to do. As Jim said last week, if God can use Moses, he can surely use you. Aaron went on to do some pretty great things, but usually by Moses' side. Honestly, I would say Aaron's more of a sidekick, and that's okay. Like I said before, Aaron didn't need a superpower, and neither do you. What did Aaron do? He spoke well. And where did he get the words? God. God put the words in his mouth, and he said them. That's what he did. Is that a superpower? Nope. He recited the words God told him to say. He didn't need a superpower. Neither do you. Aaron didn't always get it right. He could speak well, but look what happens when he goes off script, when he's not doing what God called him to do. Look what can happen. We're going to read briefly about the golden calf incident. Aaron doesn't look so hot here. So we're going to jump over to Exodus 32, if you're following along. We're going to read verses 1 through 6. And man, I've probably read this 100 times, but I've never really studied it like I did for today. And in studying this, there was some crazy stuff that popped out to me. I didn't realize how involved Aaron was in this incident. So check out what happens when Aaron goes off script. He's no longer speaking for God or using the words that God puts in his mouth. He's doing his own thing. Here we are in Exodus 32, verses 1 through 6. Some backstory. Moses is up on the mountain talking to God, getting the Ten Commandments, and Aaron's left in charge down below. It says, when the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses, who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't even know what happened to him. Aaron answered them, take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me. So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they had handed him and made it into an idol, cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, these are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt. These were not their gods. This was a terrible offense to God. We'll see more about that. Verse 5 says, when Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord. The next day the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. This is bad stuff. We could do a whole study on what all this means. How the Egyptian traditions they learned are where they got the idea of the gold calf. How they didn't see God for just a short amount of time, so they panicked and made their own gods. It's messy. We could do a ton of theology study on that. But for now, I want to focus on Aaron. And more specifically, think about it like this. Aaron panicked when he went off script and Moses was gone. Have you ever been given a task and then left alone and panicked? And then all of a sudden, you no longer know what instruction to do, so you make up your own ideas? Have you ever gone your own way and see how it works out? Or how about, maybe not, let's take it away from you for a minute. Parents, you left your kids home alone and come home to a mess ever? Or something weird, like the dog's covered in peanut butter? Like, what happened here? It's never happened to me. Ever offered God ideas he doesn't need? Man, I was just talking to young adults last week, and I do this all the time, and a few of them agreed. When I pray for God, often for certain situations, especially difficult situations. Like, God, can you please help me with this situation here or there? And this is what's going on. And then I foolishly think, or I pray, God, maybe you could answer my prayer like this, or maybe like this. As if God needs my stupid ideas. I don't know why I do it. I can't help myself. And I catch myself, oh, God, why? You don't need my dumb ideas. More often than not, when God answers my prayers, they're completely outside the box of what I could have ever imagined. It's usually not like, God, if you could either do A, B, or C to answer the prayer, that'd be great. He's like, I'm not using the letter system. I'm going to answer with zebra. Like something I just never imagined was even an option, and God answers it like that. He does not need my ideas. He did not need Aaron's help with this. Aaron stepped in and was like, oh, Moses is gone. Let's make a little calf and worship it. That was not the goal. That was not the answer at all. But man, we are good at that, aren't we? I've heard this saying often. It says, what was true in the light remains true in the dark. This is what I think maybe Aaron forgot. I think maybe Aaron forgot that Moses was in charge. Moses talks to God. His job is simply to speak the words that were given to him. He forgot that. That truth was still true even when Moses was gone. What was true in the light remained true in the dark. We're going to pick up in a second here in Exodus 32. We're skipping down a bit. Exodus 32, 19 to 24 is going to tell us how Moses reacts when he comes down the mountain. Verse 19 says, when Moses approached the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing. His anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. And he took the calf the people had made and burned it in the fire. Then he ground it to powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. That's weird. There's some weird stuff going on here. 21 says, he said to Aaron, what did these people do to you that you led them to such great sin? I love the way this is phrased. He places the blame on both. What did they do to you so that you led them into such great sin? Both parties were guilty here, absolutely. And then we, do not be angry, my Lord, Aaron answered. You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses, who brought us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. So I told them, whoever has any gold jewelry, take it off. And they gave me the gold. I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf. This might be the stupidest lie I've seen in the Bible ever. I have never seen a grown man say, I just threw it in the fire, and out popped the calf. I knew a kid in elementary school, he pulled the fire alarm just because he's a rascal. And then she was like, why'd you do that? He's like, I just looked at it and it went off. Are you telekinetic? What are you talking about? No. But man, sometimes when we're caught and doing something dumb, our first reaction is just lie. Actually, two reactions for Aaron here. Blame and lie. These people, you know how prone they are to evil, right? These guys are doing evil all the time. They made me do it. Well, if it's evil, you made a calf. Oh, I didn't make the calf. I just threw the gold in there. Calf popped out. Just silly. Just absolutely silly of Aaron. Aaron didn't have a superpower. Didn't need one. He could speak well. But when he went off script, man, things got bad fast. He blames people, which is nasty. Aaron wasn't perfect. No biblical character is except for Jesus. Aaron had a checkered past. But he was at his best when he simply spoke the words God had commanded him. That's Aaron at his best. Aaron, here's what you say. Cool, no problem. I'll say those words. That's Aaron at his best. Which takes me to the next point, which is just say the words. If you're keeping notes, you can fill in the blank there. Just say the words. I was a family pastor at a different church, and part of my role was to do marriage counseling. Specifically kind of like crisis marriage counseling. So when divorce was on the table and couples were not sure if that's the next step or not, last-ditch effort was meet with me and see if there's anything we can do. And so first thing I'd usually do was meet with the husband, and talk with him. And on 3 separate occasions, this same thing happened. On these 3 occasions, I met with the guy and said, dude, tell me what's going on. Just tell me the story. Tell me everything. And they would start talking. Just tell me the whole story. Just listen. Just listen to everything he has to say. And then after he tells me everything, I would ask him 2 simple questions to determine if we were to move forward or not. The questions were very simple. Do you still love your wife? All 3 times, they answered yes. All 3 guys. Again, separate situations, different timelines, but all 3 of these incidences, the gentleman said yes. I said, cool. Have you told her that recently, since you started, like this week, or since you started fighting? All 3 times the answer was, well, she knows. Dude, come on. So we argued about that for a while. So I'll put a pin in that, we'll come back to it. Second question. Are you willing to fight for this marriage? All 3 times, yeah. Cool, have you told her that? All 3 times, well, she knows. Dude, come on. So all 3 times I gave each of these guys homework. I said, we'll move forward. I think this is reparable. And we can definitely work through this. This marriage is worth saving because you love your wife and you're willing to fight for her. That makes it worth saving. That's all you need right there. You love her, you'll fight for her. Cool. We can work with that. But you have to tell her. Just say the words. Go home tonight and tell your wife, I still love you and I want to fight for this marriage. You say those 2 things and we'll figure out the rest later. The rest is not nearly as difficult as just getting those words out. That sets the tone. That sets the foundation for fixing everything else. I don't want to do a whole big marriage thing right now. I'd love to, but I love marriage. I have an awesome marriage. I'm so proud of it. Marriage is awesome. Marriage is great, but we're not doing that right now. But with these guys, the simple task was just say the words. For some reason, for so many of us, that's the hardest part, is just getting the words out. Whether it's in a big old argument and a big old fight like that, saying, I love you, I'm willing to fight for you, or if it's just, I'm sorry, or if it was my mistake, I'll fix it. Sometimes just saying the words is the hardest part, but it is absolutely necessary. All 3 of these men have healthy, thriving marriages to this day. They went home, they told their wives, I love you, I will fight for this marriage. They fought for it and they won. And they're married to this day. And I'm proud of them. And when people are called to something or fighting something difficult, I often hear this in their defense when they don't want to do it. I don't know what to say. When they get called to give a sermon or share their testimony or tell their friend about Jesus, I don't know what to say. Just say the words. Just say the words. Aaron was not the author. Aaron's job was to simply say the words. Paul talks about this in 1 Corinthians 2:1. This is his letter to the church in Corinth. He says, And so it was with me, brothers and sisters, when I came to you, I did not come with eloquence or human wisdom as I proclaimed to you the testimony about God. He didn't come with eloquence or human wisdom. It means he didn't use clever arguments or anything like that. He just spoke the words. He just said what God told him to say. As I was preparing for this sermon, this was on Wednesday, I think, recently. I'd already written all this, and I went to go to see my mechanic, a cool guy named Ted, and he was telling me how he has like a prison ministry where he goes and he shares the gospel with some people in prison that are having a difficult time. And he was saying it's been so fruitful, it's awesome. He's like, all glory to God. I'm like, amen. And he says, you know what's crazy is I don't really have to think of anything to say or write anything down. I just tell them what Jesus said. I just read the word. Like, that's beautiful. You don't have to have eloquence. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be this great speaker. Just say the words. They're already written down for you. Which brings me to my final point, which is, how do you use your voice? How do you use your voice? Write that down for a second, but then I really want to ask you that question in a specific manner. When we were in Puerto Rico, we did a mission trip there this last fall with the students. It was great. But one of the neat things we did in our small groups, the way the small group questions were written, each night there was always one question that asked you this question. It said, answer this question as if Jesus is standing in front of you asking it. Which just changed the question dramatically. Not some guy with a goofy haircut on stage asking you a question, but no, Jesus standing in front of you with holds his hands and feet after he just died for your sins, asks you, how are you using your voice? Changes the question a lot, doesn't it? Makes it kind of convicting, really. If you're not sure how to use your voice, let me give you three, I almost said three options. I won't say that. These are three ways the Bible tells us to use our voice. These are three commissions and commandments, if you will, that we were told how to use our voice. In our youth group, we've been talking a lot about purpose. I love that word. I love the study of purpose. It's huge in the Bible. It means a lot to me. One of our purposes is to use our voice for God. There are three very easy examples that God gives us in the Bible how we are told to use our voice. The first is worship. John 4:23 says, this is Jesus talking, yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth. For they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. The Father is seeking true worshipers. You were called to worship. You were made to worship. Literally, part of our identity, part of the reason we exist is to worship. How do you use your voice? I hope to worship. I hope. When I couldn't worship, it hurt. It largely broke my identity, my purpose. It was painful, as I hope it is for you. It should be painful if you can't or if you are deprived of worship. Number two, the gospel. Matthew 28:19 says, this is Jesus talking, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit. This is known as the Great Commission. This is Jesus telling people what to do before he leaves. It's like, what's next? What do we do, Jesus? Go and tell people about me. A simple way to look at this is go and share the gospel. That's part of making disciples. That's how you use, how do I use my voice? Or how are you using your voice? I hope you're using it to do what Jesus told us to do, to make disciples, to share the gospel. And lastly, love. When asked about the greatest commandment, this is Matthew 22:37-39, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Just to get this out of the way, your neighbor is not just your physical address neighbor, like they live on the left and right of you. Yes, those are your neighbors. But your neighbor biblically in this term is anybody you come in contact with. Anybody you have any ability to interact with at all. Everybody sitting around you, your family, everybody. Those are your neighbors. And what are you supposed to do? Love them. That's it. How do you love them? Yes, there are ways you can do so in action and in deed. Absolutely. But one of the easiest ways is with how you speak to them. Does the way you speak to people convey love? Do you use your voice to love people? One of the ways I love my kids is by telling them stupid jokes and laughing with them. I enjoy that very much. There's a lot of other ways, of course, too, but I like that one. I didn't plan this, but when I wrote this, I realized the three major purposes that we are called in the Bible to use our voice for, to share the gospel, to worship, and to love, those are the things that hurt most that I couldn't do when I couldn't speak. I couldn't worship. I couldn't share the gospel or teach my youth group. And I couldn't love my family with my voice like I wanted to. And it hurt. It gave me this newfound appreciation for my voice and made me really think about how I use it. And I want to ask you that question today. It's my final point. I already wrote it down. How are you using your voice? If Jesus stood before you and said, how are you using your voice? I hope you will say, I use it to love people around me. I use it to worship your holy name. I use it to share the good news that you died on the cross for us. I hope that you will use your voice for good purposes while you have it, because it is a gift.